Okay. Meanwhile, the Syrian opposition has rejected an offer from Iran to mediate talks between the rebels and the regime. This rejection, coupled with the differences of opinion as to what action to take within the UN Security Council, has resulted in few hopes that anything the international community does now will slow the pace of carnage. Whoa. Meanwhile, the Syrian opposition has rejected an offer from Iran to mediate talks between the rebels and the regime. This rejection, coupled with the differences of opinion as to what action to take within the UN Security Council, has resulted in few hopes that anything the international community does now will slow the pace of carnage. Wow. I believe that's true. Go ahead, give it a try.
Meanwhile, the Syrian opposition has rejected an offer from Iran to mediate talks between the rebels and the regime. This rejection, coupled with the references of opinion as to what action to take within the UN Security Council, has resulted in few hopes that anything the international community does now will slow the pace of carnage.
Exactly, will slow the pace of carnage. Very good. Meanwhile, the Syrian opposition has rejected an offer from Iran to mediate talks between the rebels and the regime. Go ahead.
Meanwhile, the Syrian opposition has rejected an offer from Iran to mediate talks between the rebels and the regime. This rejection, coupled with the differences of opinion as to what action to take within the UN Security Council, has resulted in few hopes that anything the international communities that now will slow the pace of carnage.
Very good. That was very good, excellent. Meanwhile, the Syrian opposition has rejected an offer from Iran to mediate talks between the rebels and the regime. This rejection, coupled with the differences of opinion as to what action to take within the UN Security Council, has resulted in few hopes that anything the international community does now will slow the pace of carnage. Go ahead, Mr. Rick. Give it a try.
With our the Syria operation have rejected an offer from Iran of mediate
To mediate, mediate
between the rebel and the regime. This rejection from couple with the differences of opinion as to with what action to take within the UN Security Council had resulted in few hopes that anything the international community does now will slow the path of carnage.
right, good. Will slow the pace, pace of carnage. The pace of carnage. Go ahead. Come closer if you have trouble reading the board.
Meanwhile, the Syrian opposition has rejected an offer from Iran to mediate talks between the rebels and the regime. This rejection coupled with the references of opinion as to what action to take within the UN Security Council has resulted in few hopes that anything the international community does now will slow the pace of carnage.
Right, very good. Coupled with the differences, coupled with the differences of opinion. The opinions differ. They are different. Okay, go ahead.
Meanwhile, the Syrian opposition has rejected an offer from Iran to mediate talks between the rebels and the regime. This rejection coupled with the differences of the opinion as to what action to take within the UN Security Council has resulted in few hopes that anything the international community does now will slow the pace of carnage.
Right, good, very good. Meanwhile, the Syrian opposition has rejected an offer from Iran to mediate talks between the rebels and the regime. This rejection, coupled with the differences of opinion as to what action to take within the UN Security Council, has resulted in few hopes that anything the international community does now will slow the pace of carnage. Go ahead.
Meanwhile, the Syrian opposition has rejected an offer from Iran to mediate talks between the rebels and the regime. This rejection coupled with the difference of opinion as to what action to take within the UN Security Council has resulted in few hopes that anything the international community does now will slow the pace of carnage.
Slow the pace of carnage. Meanwhile, the Syrian opposition has rejected an offer from Iran to mediate talks between the rebels and the regime. Go ahead.
Meanwhile, the Syrian opposition has rejected an offer from Iran to mediate talks between the rebels and the regime. The rejection coupled with the differences of opinion as to what action to take within the UN Security Council. The UN Security Council has resulted in few hopes that anything the international community does now will slow the pace of carnage.
This rejection, cup, it's like cup, C-U-P, cup, old, E-L-D, old cup, bold, with the differences of opinion as to what action to take within the UN Security Council. Go ahead, sir.
Meanwhile, the Syrian opposition has rejected an offer from Iran to mediate talks between the rebels and the regime. This rejection, coupled with the differences of opinion as to what action to take within the UN Security Council, has resulted in few hopes that anything the international community does now will slow the pace of carnage.
Right, very good. This rejection, coupled with the differences of opinion as to what action to take within the UN Security Council, has resulted in few hopes that anything the international community does now will slow the pace of carnage.
Meanwhile, the Syrian opposition has rejected an offer from Iran to mediate talk between the rebels and the regime. This rejection, coupled with the differences of opinion and toward action to take within the UN Security Council, had resulted in few hopes that anything the international community does now will slow the pace of carnage.
Carnage will slow the pace of carnage. Okay, meanwhile, while the UN and the five powers and everybody's discussing, at the same time, meanwhile, what else is happening in the world? Well, meanwhile, the Syrian opposition, the rebels, those opposed to the Syrian regime, the Assad government, the rebels. The Syrian opposition has rejected, has refused to accept an offer from, of all places, Iran. Has rejected it. Iran makes the offer, reject it. Sorry. To mediate, to be the person that keeps everything peaceful. Mediate the talks. Talk to this side, talk to that side. Keep everybody from attacking each other. Mediate the talks. Be the middleman, so to speak, the go-between, to mediate the talks, discussions between the rebels, the Syrian opposition, the rebels, and the Assad regime, the Assad government. This refusal, this rejection of the Iranian offer, coupled, linked together with the differences of opinion that we previously discussed, where Britain, the US, France on one side, Russia on the other side, the differences between those countries, the differences of what to do and how to do it, the differences of opinion. I think you should do this. No, we should do that. Differences of opinion as to what action, what to do within the UN Security Council. There are disagreements, and coupled with the opposition rejection linked together, has resulted in few hopes. Some people hope, but very, very few hopes, but, desires, wishes that anything, the international community, the world community together, the United Nations, for example, together, that whatever they do, that anything that they do now will slow, reduce the pace, the proceeding, slow it down. The pace of a runner could be very quick or very slow. What they want to do is slow the pace, the movement forward of the carnage. What is the carnage? Yeah, the killing. The killing of innocent people throughout Syria. What they're saying is here that since there's the difference of opinion, the rejection of the Iranian proposal to mediate, that's been rejected. There's a difference of opinion within the Security Council as to what to do. So when you put those two things together, when they are coupled together, very few people believe or have any hope that the pace of the killing in Syria will slow. It will just continue on. Thousands dying because of the rejection and the coupling with the differences of opinion, lack of agreement as to what to do. The killing continues. Few hopes that anything the world does now will slow the pace, to slow the numbers of people killed in Syria. Any questions about that?
So because of the levels rejection from Iran is make the slow motion of pace of carnage, right?
No, it's the opposite. The rejection of the offer, the fact that the rebels rejected the offer. No, we're not talking with the government. We're fighting on. We're fighting on. We're not talking. When you take that and you link it together, the rejection linked with the lack of agreement in the Security Council, that means that the pace of the killing will continue because nothing is being done to stop it. You have the rejection of the mediation. In other words, stop fighting, let's talk. Rejected, we're continuing to shoot. Woo. And when you have the major powers not agreeing that anything be done specifically, that means that the killing is going to continue. The shooting will continue because they rejected the peace agreement, the mediation, and there's no agreement with the major powers. The killing continues. Few hopes that anything the international community does will slow the killing. Why? Rejection and disagreement. Differences of opinion. That's why the pace will not slow. Not slow.
Because of rejection.
Right. We're not going to talk to the regime. We're going to keep shooting. No talks. Sorry, Iran, thanks for offering, but we're not talking. We're shooting. And the UN, 5 major players, the Security Council, can't agree. Should we do this? Should we do that? Who? What? So what happens? The pace of killing continues. Nobody's stepping in saying, stop the shoot. No. They refuse. The rebels refuse. They don't want to talk. They want to shoot. Security Council can't make up their mind. So what happens? The war continues. The people are still getting killed.
It means that the Iran and the Russia, if Iran, if the Russia accept the Iran talk,
The mediation.
talk,
Mediation. If they accept Iran's mediation,
talks, if you making faster or pace of connect.
well, no, if they accept the talks, if the rebels and the regime accept the Iranian offer of mediation, that would stop, as long as they were talking, would stop the shooting. Therefore, the pace of carnage would go down because they stopped shooting. Why? Because they... Any questions? Wow.
Much better.
No questions. No questions. Understands everything. Not a problem. Oh, thanks a lot for saying. Thank you. Yeah, no questions. No, that's good.
Have a lot of questions.
Oh, we have a lot of questions. Oh, there we go. Somebody has questions. I thought there were no questions, and now I find out there are a lot of questions.
Teacher Lai, students have a question.
What? What was that?
Teacher Lai, students have a question or not? Nice. Teacher, my question. No.
Teacher likes...
No, I'm not. Do you like? No.
Teacher likes student have questions or not?
Do you like? 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 Yes. Do that teacher? Do you like or that teacher?
Do you like what?
Do you like? Do you like have question or not?
Getting close. Getting close. Do you like students
Student have question.
to have
To have question.
questions?
Have to.
No, you don't need the or not. I either like students to have questions or I do not. You do not have to say, do you like students to have questions or not? Well, you can say it, but it's not necessary. The idea is to keep it short as possible. Do you like students to have questions? Teacher likes student have questions or not? Ooh.
That's it.
I understand what you mean, but ooh, ouch, ouch. Ooh.
Teacher, we are the non-native speaker.
I know. So that's what I'm trying to change. Teacher likes student to have questions or not.
Okay, teacher.
I understand what you mean, I think.
I would like you improve.
Do you like students to have questions? Yeah, okay, sure, no problem.
That teacher like.
Which is right? Teacher likes student to have questions or not? Or do you like students to have questions? Huh?
Student.
Which one? One or two?
One. Teacher likes
There you have it.
the two have questions or not. The two, what is with two?
Okay, you win. Do you like students to have questions? Wrong. Wrong. Teacher likes student to have questions or not? Correct. No.
Washington College. Washington College.
Do you like students to have questions?
Two college.
Yes.
Ngon hả?
I guess you're right. I guess the people in Thailand would say, teacher likes students have questions or not? I guess. I guess that's right in some ways, but actually, the better way to say it, English-wise, is, do you like students to have questions? Somebody asked me, yes, I do. I would hope that they would and try to answer the questions. I can't say that I can answer every question, but we'll certainly try.
Right.
Number one.
Try.
Number one long.
Yeah. I better erase it. Everybody will think it's right.
Teacher หล่อนะ receive student
Do you like students to have questions? That would be the more appropriate way. Do you like, or do you want, or do you like, do you want students to have questions? Yeah, sure, no problem.
Can say, would you like students to have question? No.
Would you like students to have questions? Well, you could ask that, and it would be then you're asking me for my opinion about whether or not I would like students to have questions. Yeah, you could say that. Would you like students to have questions? Yeah, sure, no problem. But it's a little bit different than do you like students to have questions? A little bit, wording is a little bit different, but the same meaning. Would you like students to have questions? Yes, I would. If I'm teaching a class, that would be nice to have students to have questions. Do you like students to have questions? Yeah, sure, no problem. Well, we're getting started.
Good morning.
Good morning, teacher.
Oh, good morning, sir. Good. Ready to go now. Mr. Rick.
Teacher, you can remember the name of student only Mr. X.
Oh, no, Mr. Singh.
Oh no, except. You teacher like student have to have a question with.
Correct. After class is over,
What about me?
we'll start with a little bit that we ended with yesterday.
Next one, please share the story. Please, teacher. Next month, please share the story.
That's the headline.
Yesterday.
Is anyone paying attention? I said we will start with the sentence we ended with yesterday. It's not going to be the whole story, it's one sentence. It is what we ended on yesterday, but to have a review of one sentence for what was it? Oh yeah, right.
Theater